Welcome to the Bernhardt Contracting Mid-Construction Testing Preparation Guide. We do mid-construction testing simply because this is the time when things are cheap and easy to fix. So we often get that from trades. They're like, why are we here? Why are we doing this test? It's not actually a code requirement, but going all the way to final and not having assured the results is a very expensive thing. Right now, during mid-construction, things are pretty easy and cheap to fix. A little bit of caulk, a little bit of tape, and we're on our way. Much more expensive to do that at final. So that's why we always recommend doing these tests. Big note here too, failure to follow any of the following instructions will likely result in higher costs and delay. Nobody likes to burn money, so let's make sure we get it all right. As far as booking ahead goes, for single family homes and duplexes, booking ahead at least 48 hours is a good idea. Sometimes we can do less than that, but we can't promise it. If you want to be able to pick the time, we ask you to book at least a week in advance. So if you need Tuesday at 9 a.m., make sure you give us a shout at least a week in advance, and then we can accommodate that. For homes that are like townhomes and bigger projects, things that have 3 units or more, at least 72 hours is best. Again, sometimes we can do better than that, but we can't promise it. If you want to pick your time, a week and a half is your best bet there, and that's simply because we need to gather a bit more of equipment that's not necessarily in the standard quick kit, or maybe bring two of our team together. The best practice for booking your time, it's often unpredictable, project schedules change, is to let us know when your insulator has started. That way they can have some assurance of when they're going to finish, and it becomes a little bit more predictable at that stage. Ideally, schedule for the day after they're expected to finish. We don't want to be scheduled the day of because caulking and things like that needs to dry. And if that's wet when we're testing, there is the possibility that we could damage that caulking, and we don't want to be doing that. So the day after the insulators are done, not as they're finishing or during their finishing, that the test is not compatible with their work. So let's wait till they're fully done. As far as other trades on site, no problem to have them around. Siders can continue working on the outside. That's no big deal. Inside, if you've got an electrician or a plumber running around, that's totally fine. We just need to let them know that they are going to be trapped during the test. Make sure they know that. It is all too common that we get to site and we let everybody know on site that we're going to do this test. They're going to be in lockdown, and immediately as soon as we do that lockdown, everybody needs to go out and smoke or eat their lunch or do whatever. So it's important that we let them know that they are going to be trapped for at least a half an hour, sometimes a little bit more. And a big note is do not schedule your drywall delivery during this test. Drywall deliveries are completely incompatible with testing, and it is very expensive for us to wait for all the drywall to be dropped or to send the drywall guys away. So don't be scheduling that. That one is again a common one that happens, and I think it's annoying for everybody. So let's avoid that one. As far as what needs to be ready on the day of the test, the air barrier needs to be complete. That's either your sealed Tyvek or your sealed poly. Windows and doors must be at least mostly installed. You can have a few missing ones if you want to poly over those. That's fine. So if you've got something on back order, that's okay. But at least mostly there. So we're testing at least as close to the real thing as we can get. We don't need mechanical systems, so your heat pumps, your HRVs do not need to be installed. And if you do have those missing windows or a missing door, we're going to cover that with poly, ideally before we get there. If it's a very big door, such as like a patio door or something like that, just the plastic stapled and taped is not strong enough. So we do need to put some battens down, like a scrap piece of 2x4 or something around the edges there, just to hold that down, particularly on the floor, dusty floors and things like that. Just the tape and staples just don't stick very well to that. So a little bit of battens on there and it all should be good to go. As far as which door we use for our fan, it doesn't matter. So we can use whichever one is missing in many cases, and that's quite convenient. As far as preparation go, the general rule is we want to seal intentional openings only. So if we put it there on purpose, we want to seal that. So these are things that like ventilation, plumbing, things like that we put there on purpose, and we're expecting to maybe cap that off before the building is finished, or it's going to have something in front of it. So in the case of an HRV inlet, we are going to seal that. That's for sure. It's a big gaping hole in the wall. We want to make sure we seal that, and that's something that we would also be able to seal at the final as well. But things like plumbing penetrations, where a plumbing piece is coming through the wall and the area around that plumbing thing, that is not necessarily going to be fixed at final or finished at final. So we do not want to be sealing that. The open pipe, yes, but not the penetration around it. That should be sealed as part of your air barrier, but not sealed specially for the test. So those are places that we would look for leakage and would need to be repaired if there is leakage. And ideally, you're doing all this prep before we get there. Again, we're charging by the hour, so we're pretty expensive to have wait around or what have you. So, best case, you have your team, your apprentice, whoever, watch this video and do the prep before we get there. Now, our team does carry some materials to do some preparation, and we will do it for you, but that is the more expensive option. So, ideally, your team has it taken care of before we get there, and maybe it's just a couple of quick touch-ups that our team has to help with. As far as prep materials go, we like duct masking. That we find is the best, most flexible, thing that gives us the best results. It's easy to remove, has no residue, and doesn't cause paint damage as long as take it off within, reasonable sort of times. We use the stuff from tapeguys.com, and you can order it by the box. A box goes a long ways, probably lasts you more than a year of blower door tests if you're doing them regularly. And it is a bit expensive, but you sort of get what you pay for. So that's why we use this. This is the stuff that we'll show up with. It's perforated, so you don't even need a knife, and it sticks to many different surfaces. So this sort of thing is definitely the way to go. If you're not interested in ordering, a full box, then many of the HVAC suppliers, such as Echo Supply here in Victoria, their shops around the province, they do carry it. Generally, any ventilation supply store will have a roll of duct masking. Other materials that I think are suitable, particularly for outside, is the red poly tape or the stucco tape. That works really quite well on metal surfaces. So if you've got to tape any sort of, exterior vents or things like that, it does work quite well on that and does stick quite well to poly as well. So for those bigger areas where the duct masking just doesn't work or isn't practical, this sort of thing works quite well. What we do not recommend is masking tape. It's just too weak, and tuck tape or duct tape. Just they're stronger than is necessary, and they leave residue. So we try and avoid those. Here's an example of how it is done. Now, in this picture, this contractor went a little bit further than they need to, and they actually took the hoods of the vents off and put the duct masking below that, and then the hood back on. Now, you don't need to go that far. Really, all we need you to do is seal this grill area in front, and ideally, you do it from the outside if it's at all accessible. Do it from the outside because that then seals off a whole bunch of potential leakage on the inside of that duct. And so that's really definitely the best place to do it is outside if you can. Only do inside if you can't reach it or don't have that option. And really simple, really quick, usually on most houses. This isn't something that should take you days and days. Here's an example using red tape. So here we've got some holes cored in some concrete and using poly. Worked very well. Easy to do there. And at final, they'll have those all fire stopped up and such. So they'll be sealed in the end. And this is allowed to be sealed that way. Here's some examples of what not to do here, or one example anyway. So in this case, what they've done is they've just sealed to the drywall. They haven't actually sealed to the pipe itself. It's just a hole in the drywall and the pipe's in there somewhere. And so this is ineffective just because the drywall is not the air barrier in this case. There's going to be leaks in all these gaps everywhere. So we're not actually sealing to what we're trying to seal. Here's a better example of how it should be done, where the duct masking is over the entire duct, and that's how it should be done because now we've actually capped at the source of the leak, not just sort of in front of it. As far as fans go, this is another common one to prep in your average household. Really what we want to do is seal the drum or the housing of the fan. That's this, part where the air actually flows through. That's what it should look like. We don't want to do things like this where we've just taped over the grill. And again, we're just back to the drywall in that point. And there's lots of room to leak around that fan. So best case is right at the drum. Just tape it over, seal it over, and you'll get good results that way. As far as windows and doors go, ideally they're all going to be closed when we arrive. Some of them, maybe you've got something broken or something not quite installed. That's okay to tape that off. But ideally, we are going to be shutting as many as possible. This means all cords or anything running through those windows, which is not a good idea anyways, because that damages your windows. But all those cords and stuff need to be figured out so that they are not running through those windows and those windows can be shut because we want to test as close to the real thing as we can. If you do have that uninstalled door, particularly those garage doors that we're leaving off just because it's the construction door and we got all those trades coming banging through there, that's totally fine. We can use the construction door as our test door. So you don't actually have to have an actual door on the thing. We can use a rough opening, and that's fine. One other thing that we see commonly is mechanical doors into garages. So where you've got a mechanical room that enters off the garage but isn't really connected to the house. That is part of your air barrier. So the insulation and poly that might go around that mechanical room is not particularly effective in most cases because we've got all sorts of pipes and different things coming through. So we either want the door in that mechanical room or we need to poly that off so that we're not getting that leakage through that mechanical room. As far as things to not seal, we don't want to seal anything that is not part of the air barrier. This is just a waste of time. Mostly, we're just burning time. And so things like electrical boxes and plugs or access holes, those are not part of the air barrier, and that is not going to be fixed at final. So we want to know if that's leaking or where the leak is coming from if there is a leak in that location, so we can repair it properly. We will not get away with doing this sort of taping at final, so we can't do it during mid-construction. And fireplaces are also on that list. So if your fireplace isn't installed and it's just an open chimney, yes, seal that. That's fine. But if you've got the fireplace installed, they often come with just a cardboard sort of cover on the front. Leave it as is. Do not seal that because that is how it is going to be in the final. We often see leakage around gas fireplaces. Wood fireplaces are a little better, but that is how it is in final, and we want to see that. We want to know if we have a problem at mid construction. On the day of the test, as far as power requirements go, we do have a few key things that really need to be in place. We will need one 120 volt, 15 amp circuit per test fan. So if you're running a duplex and there's two fans showing up, we will need one circuit for each unit. If triplex, we need three. Single family home, we just need one. Uh, GFI is not required, so that's all good, just sort of a regular circuit. It does need to be reasonably close to where we're testing, and so we say within 10 feet. We will carry extension cords, but at some point we're going to run out. If we're going across the site and over the hill to the neighbor's house, we're not carrying that long of an extension cord. So an extension cord is fine. If you can get it to where we're testing, that's all good. Just have it there ready for us so we can hook up and we're all good. Doesn't need to be anything fancy, just regular extension cord. We're not drawing that much power. If you are running off of generators, we do need clean power. So we can't have surging. The cheaper generators that aren't inverter based, we cannot run off of those. We also can't have compressors or larger saws running off of the same circuits that we are running off of. So this may include for temporary services. This may mean we have to ask everybody to shut off their saws and their compressors. We have had a lot of temporary services where they're just not big enough, and we get a lot of surging through that power system. To where we can't, we just can't run the test. The fans are ramping up and down. It's interfering with the equipment, and we're just not getting good data. So we need clean power, which may mean no compressors for during the test, before and after the test, whatever. It's fine, and no big saws. And generators must be higher quality generators. If you are running off a generator, please let us know before our team leaves the office, ideally a day or two before. We do have our own power systems. They're not part of our standard kit, so we just need to let our team know so they put the power system into the back of the vehicle, right? Either they'll bring a battery or their own generator or something like that. So we do have that option, but we need you to let us know that you're running off of maybe some sketchy power and we should bring our own. As far as parking goes on the day of the test, we need parking for at least one vehicle when we show up to your site. We have a lot of fragile, heavy, and expensive gear that we need to carry in. So ideally, we're able to drop it off somewhere close to where we're testing. And if we have to move because a crane's coming in, so be it, and we'll go park down the street. But what we don't want to do is walk the kilometer down the street to your site carrying 200 pounds of gear. On the day of the test as well, we'd ask that you clean around the testing location. So whatever test door has been selected, we ask that you clean it. This is mainly because we are going to turn on a fan and that is going to create a lot of wind and every bit of dust is going to be blown in everybody's face from that fan. And so to make things a lot more pleasant, we just ask that you clean it. It is also a problem for equipment, particularly the fine drywall dust. So if you've got a lot of drywall dust hanging around, that can damage our equipment, and our team may refuse to test if your site is very dirty, or they may clean it up for you. And we are very expensive janitors, so we just ask that you do it for us, and that's the cheapest way to go. Ideally, you're sweeping it and vacuuming it, just so we're getting that fine dust for about 10 feet around the test fan area, just so we're not making that hurricane of dust, and we're not wrecking anybody's equipment. As far as timing goes, it should take about an hour to do the whole operation. About half an hour usually is the lockdown. If things go well, it might be a little less. If things go poorly, it could be quite a lot longer. So if we're having to chase leaks or things aren't meeting the standards we're aiming for, then this could take quite a lot longer. And if you are unsure about anything in this video or anything leading up to your test, please reach out. Your project manager team member will be available to answer all your questions. Feel free to call the office. The office can answer your questions as well. We're happy to assist. And the one final thought I have is that it is cheaper to delay than it is to have us show up and not be ready. So please let us know if you're not going to be ready. That's fine. It happens all the time. Easy to delay. We can reschedule. Not a big deal. So if you're not ready, let us know. And by all means, ask any questions you have. Thanks for watching.